Oh yes, my Straight Talk family, it's time for me to bid you a very pleasant night. St. Kitts and Nevis, a very pleasant night to the entire Caribbean region. I should say a very pleasant, extend greetings, I should say, to the entire world. And I know that we are on the World Wide Web. We reach and touch the Kittitian and Nevisian diaspora, the Caribbean diaspora, and different diasporas all over the world. Some of you are in Africa. There are some of you in Europe. There are some of you in Asia. And there are a whole lot of you all over North America. So I'm at liberty to say good night. I can say good morning and I will say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. And my Straight Talk family, I always like to greet my first timers, those of you who join me for the first time. We thank the ones who share our link, and we just want to let the first timers know that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On this program, you have an opportunity. We try to raise the level of you have an opportunity rather to express yourselves freely. Let's in the process strive to get St. Kitts back to that number one position in the world. And to all those listeners who have the Amazon Alexa, Straight Talk can also be heard live. Just say, Alexa, play Massive Vibes Radio. It's a paid program. So you can also download the Massive Vibes Radio app in Android and Apple Play Store. So to all those have that Amazon Alexa, Straight Talk can also be heard live there. But on this program, we try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligation. My name is Ian Patches Liburd. I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And as your host, in particular for the first timers, I am an untiring advocate of truthfulness. And I'm always reminded of the words of a famous hymn of mine, a favorite hymn, I should say, of mine, which goes something like this. We are called to be God's prophet, speaking for the truth and right, standing firm for godly justice, bringing evil things to light. Let us seek the courage needed, our high calling to fulfill, that we may all know the blessing of doing of God's will. And my Straight Talk family, I want to again say to the listeners that have Amazon Alexa, Straight Talk can also be heard. Just say, Alexa, play Massive Vibes Radio. That's a paid political program. So again, this program is not watered down. The content, rather, of this program is not watered down to make it more interesting. Not by omission or exaggeration. And Straight Talk, my family, is not about sensationalism or creating excitement, especially at the expense of accuracy, because we lean on the facts. And I consider it my duty, my bounden duty, to always present the unvarnished truth, I call it, the plain truth, especially when it comes to governance in our beloved country of St. Kitts and Nevis. And we are joined together through this program with people across our federation. We are joined with people in the diaspora all around the world, a different diaspora as well, all around the world. And some we know very well, and some we have met. Others we don't know, and many we will never meet. Some will agree with the positions of truth, and I always emphasize truth because we advance the truth. And some will disagree, but that's fine because we also entertain diversity. We're different people. But please, it would sadden me, my Straight Dog family, whenever or if ever you start to become disagreeable. So let's all thank Almighty God nonetheless for helping us to understand, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Let's hope and pray for that day when we will all sing his praise together. So welcome again, my people, and thanks for those who share the link as you bring first-timers, and please continue to do so. For the first-timers, I must also inform you that Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we include your calls and your emails. Yes, your emails. And if you're so minded, calling, the numbers are on your monitor. The numbers there are on your screen, 646-829-6672. That's the overseas number. And the local number, 869-663-6672. They're those who like the cloak of anonymity, I call it. They don't want to be heard, especially in St. Kitts. You know, it's difficult. Sometimes you expose yourselves to all sorts of things. We are nice people, but the political issues here makes life difficult for some. So those who like the cloak of anonymity, I call it, we give you access via our email platform that's also on your monitor, Straight Talk Patches, that's one word, at gmail.com. I always welcome my special brigade, my junior brigade I call it, young Dwayne, Tristan, Shama, Kevin, Rue, Costa, Travis, and Travon. And I always hail, I promise you that that special lady will come. I keep saying that to you. She will come here and have a conversation with us sooner rather than later. I commit to that. And I send special greetings to Mr. and Mrs. Smith over there in Sandy Point. I saw Mr. Smith. I haven't seen him in ages. Smithy, I call him, worked at Rams, and ironically I met him at the Rams parking lot. He's looking well. And I know he's an ardent listener, ardent viewer of Straight Talk. So hail to the Smiths there, and everybody for that matter. And while on Sandy Point, I understand that the Sandy Point community has been plunged into mourning following the passing of Andrew Weeks. And Gerald Woods, I think she is a Sandy Pointer who lived at Old Road, one of the many female taxi operators. I did have their PowerPoints here, but we just want to inform you that they have gone to the great beyond, and there may be others as well of whom Straight Talk is unaware. So we extend condolences to all who are mourning the loss of loved ones. At this time, I always remind you that we can say anything, but truth is, as Jimmy Cliff sang, who feels it knows it. And we can never understand it until someone very close, near and dear to you goes to the great beyond. But I can also say to you, death is a process. And at this time, I inform our first timers of the format for each show. I get pardon, in that we consider our observations in review, after which a dissertation and or a short thesis is presented. And the title of my thesis tonight is Revise St. Kitts Nevis CBI program, the Citizenship by Investment program, enables criminals by association. But our observations in review are an integral, very integral part of Straight Talk, after which I will normally move into my thesis, following which I will then include your calls, your emails, as mentioned earlier, in order to allow full participation. Yes, on this program, you get an opportunity to have your say, as we put it. And it's the time observations in review when we highlight the current issues and we do some reflection. We ask a few questions, such as what was accomplished, how has it helped others, what has changed since, what can be expected next, and what we have learned as a people, because it's a learning process. And our first observation tonight, my Straight Talk family, I make reference to the tourism off season in St. Kitts, Nevis, which runs from April to November. And oh, how I pray for the day when we can have an all year round season. Although many believe that the best time to visit St. Kitts and Nevis is in May and June, when hotels lower their rates to attract or to lure in travelers. But there's also a 3-day music festival in June, and that affects the rates as well. Keep them up, keep the crowd in the hotels as the winter crowds thin out. But the peak season in St. Kitts and Nevis, like most of the Caribbean, runs from December, when we host Carnival, lovely Carnival here in St. Kitts. But from December to April, we can consider our peak period. But when the cruise ship schedule is slackened down to 2 or 3 calls for the months of June, July, August, and September, but it picks up in October. But I always think of the investment made by the Team Unity administration in the second cruise pier. And that continues to pay much dividend, especially with the fortnightly calls of the largest cruise ship in the world. It was here last Tuesday, and they sometimes don't even recognize this alongside. But the largest cruise ship in the world, the Icon of the Seas, and yes, that's one of the major investments undertaken by the Team Unity administration in its first 5 years in office, built in 2019 alongside Pier 1 during the time of the Pam Simmons administration's Port Zante development that involved reclamation of 25 acres of land by the Mathalon Group of Jamaica. But the fortnightly call of the Icon of the Seas, as you can see it alongside that second cruise pier, is a great reminder of the legacy left by the Team Unity administration, despite the bad mouthing of this infrastructure showpiece during its construction stage. And during its construction stage, believe it or not, the workforce employed was about 75% local. Yes, my Straight Talk family, it was.
My name is Jonathan Dadut. I am an engineer by profession. Working on this island has been fun, I have to say. It's been interesting. We've enjoyed working on this project and working with the locals here, because in our work staff, I believe we have 75% staffed Kittitian locally. We have found that we didn't need to really go out to look for talent. We found all the talent we needed locally on the island. There's 1 or 2 where expatriate people were brought in from Canada. But so far we've been fortunate to find everything we needed on this island. They have been very professional, they've been dedicated. They have adhered to and exceeded expectations we would have had. These people have stood out. The Kitishans say they have stood out for us by their professionalism and how they address and adhere to our health and safety standards.
And my Straight Talk family, that is commendable, and that was always one of the conditions laid down by the team Unity Administration in all the projects. We insisted and ensured there was local input. And it must be highly commendable that 75% of the workforce on that $48 million project came from the local market. And that project, as you've heard before, accommodates or can accommodate two of the world's largest ships simultaneously at the same time.
This pier is unique or it's special because it can accommodate what we call two Oasis class cruise ships, so two of the biggest cruise ships you can imagine. And simultaneously it should be able to berth two at the same time. We are on schedule right now. We plan on turning over the pier mid-September. And as we speak right now, we're definitely well ahead of schedule. We've had a lot of support with the Kittian government. To be honest, the minister, he knows us personally, he knows us by name, he's been involved with his people. We meet with them regularly. They have always offered support, they have been helpful, everything that we need. This has been a complete blissful experience, we'll have to say, to have a whole year where you're not impacted or bothered by snow or whites and having to run and wear tough clothing and come to work every day wearing t-shirts. I think that's been the best part, the funnest part of this project.
And my Straight Talk family, I will always remain humbled to have led this monumental project as the Minister of Public Infrastructure and Transport. And that's a legacy of the Team Unity Administration. Our second observation, it's about the Social Security Board. It's about Social Security. And we know that Prime Minister Dr. July has bitten off more than he can chew in the context of the portfolios that he has assigned unto himself. As Minister of Social Security, though, Straight Talk must remind Dr. July of the mandate outlined in the Social Security Act, Cap 22.10, as revised in December of 2017. And it relates to the report and accounts to be submitted to the minister as per the second schedule of the Act, as per Section 41, which I'll post on your monitors. And if you can glean from Section 41, if you look at that to your right, it reads, and I quote, "The board shall, at the end of each year, prepare a report on its activities during the last preceding year, and shall furnish that report to the minister not later than the 30th day of June." Section B, it shall submit to the minister, that's the board, every account certified by the auditor under subsection 5 of subsection 40, the auditor which is approved by the board, together with the report of the auditor thereon within 1 month of such certification. And C, submit annually to the minister an account of the securities in which money forming part of the fund is for the time being invested in accordance with the second schedule. But hear this, Dr. July. Section 41, subsection 2, that's on your screen there, on your monitor, states clearly, and I read, the minister shall, underline shall, the minister shall cause a copy of every account or report submitted to him or her, in this case it's Dr. July, under this section to be laid before the National Assembly. Today it's sad to note that, Dr. July, you have not executed your mandate according to the law. The Social Security Board's financial statements 2021 and 2022 have not been tabled in the Parliament. So Straight Talk want to ask you, I see a notice of a meeting in Parliament, I think it's on Wednesday. But come Wednesday, Dr. July, lay the account on the table in the Parliament, and Chairman and Director of the Social Security Board, Chairman Mrs. Harris, I forget that director's name, but you must publish the financial statements as well. On your site, you can only find statements up to 2020. That's 4 years ago. Publish the financial statements so we, the people, can establish how much money is in the bank, how much money is being spent annually, how much money is invested and in what. So we can determine for ourselves whether there will be money to pay pensioners 10, 15 or 30 years from now, my Straight Talk family. We know the actuarial report is due. One is due shortly. Yes, the chairperson, Mrs. Harris, Janet Harris. You need to ensure that these accounts are tabled or sent to the minister, or rather published on your site. It's our business, and we need to know what's going on. And our third observation, Straight Talk family, it's a reflection on the 29th edition of Agriculture Open Day. And that has now passed and gone. But my Straight Talk family, what new have we learned about the advancement of this sector? Everyone is now convinced, except Minister Samal, that St. Kitts Nevis will not reduce its food import bill by 25% by 2025. And that's next year. Virtually impossible, although the minister continues to tout this nonsense, I call it.
As I look around the room, I see stakeholders from different sectors. Some of you farmers, some of you fisherfolk, some of you representing agencies that do research, some of you representing universities, some of you representing businesses that all thrive on the basis of agriculture. And if we take the time to understand that, we get down to the importance of why we're here today. And as we stand here today, talking about CARICOM's 25 by 2025 agenda, our food bill stands at $190+ million. And if we do a simple mathematical equation, we recognize that 25% of that is somewhere near $50 million. And the essence of what we are here discussing today is how we can share $50 million amongst all of them. My job here as the Minister of Agriculture is to ensure that that $50 million is going to you.
Talk is cheap, as we say in my Straight Talk family, but whiskey costs money. Virtually impossible. There's no improvement no improvement in food security that will lead to sustained and inclusive economic growth, my Straight Dog family. The monkeys continue to destroy the crops produced by farmers, and the population is growing. Samal said there are over 30,000 monkeys. He said this, my Straight Dog family.
Yes, good morning. We recognize that the issue with feral animals would have been a long-standing issue for agriculture in this country. We have at the top of the list in St. Kitts the monkeys and wild pigs, and in Nevis, while they have some bit of those at the top of their list, will also be donkeys. And so the issue isn't an issue that has gone unchecked. However, when you look at it, we have done some research. We've had a consultant in, and we estimate that the population of monkeys has grown tremendously. They're anticipating right now from research that there's about over 30,000 on St. Kitts alone.
30,000 monkeys. But what has been done to address the monkey issue, I call it, my Straight Dog family, and saying a very pleasant night to a dear friend in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I read a story on the weekend as well about a glut, I call it, and subsequent dumping of 7,000 pounds of tomatoes. Now, Straight Talk has not confirmed the veracity, the truth, or the facts to this story. But what we can confirm, nonetheless, is that the greatest challenge to sustainability within agriculture is the water scarcity. And this well-known farmer, my Straight Talk family, put it bluntly. No water, no food.
Food, we ain't got no water. So without water, we ain't got no food.
And that's straightforward coming from that farmer. No water, no food. So there are issues in the agriculture sector that somehow you need to address. Someone sent me a message earlier today and begged me not to forget the Keon water quality issue. And I can assure the people in Keon I will not until we get the right answers. The individual told me to continue to encourage the residents of Keon not to be fooled by the pretentious behavior by these two public officials, my Straight Dog family. The so-called engineer Conris and the manager and water engineer Carmel Williams. We remember this, my Straight Dog family, do you?
I'm going to take a little taste. Fresh clear water.
My Straight Dog family, you must ask, what message is being sent to the Federation? Is tasting the water more important than the Bureau of Standards testing the quality of the water? Because when asked, I recall, when asked by the host of Island Tea some time ago, as at Gums, if this testing was done, the manager and water engineer Cromwell Williams responded this way, my Straight Dog family. Remember this?
You mentioned that you test the water quality of the well in Keon.
Yes.
Was that done by the Bureau of Standards here in St. Kitts, the testing?
Not as yet.
Not as yet.
No.
But the ones in Shadwell were done by the Bureau of Standards?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not as yet. What's taking so long to test the water, Cromwell Williams? And when asked by the host, and we can ask our own question, why is the water tasted and not tested? Because the actions of the so-called engineer Congress and the manager and water engineer Cromwell have demonstrated an exaggerated sense of self-importance. What do we care if you taste it? The so-called engineer Congress obviously believes, rather, that going on social media and tasting the water or pretending that he tasted the water is no better than testing the quality of the water. One would think that the manager and water engineer Cromwell Williams would execute his professional obligation to the country. Lo and behold, he took to social media with his minister, the so-called engineer. So for those who continue to call me, be assured I will continue to advocate on your behalf and demand quality testing of the water found by the appropriate local authority, which is the Bureau of Standards. It is disgusting to look at what the so-called engineer Congress and the manager and water engineer Cromwell Williams, and I said before, in most developed countries, or in most countries period, the so-called engineer Congress would have had to resign, and the manager and water engineer Cromwell would have been fired. Why don't they engage the Bureau of Standards that has tested 28 wells? There were 29 wells, excluding the one found in Keon. And one was found to be contaminated. Is it because contamination was found in the last well drilled by Bede? The last well drilled by Bede, do not forget, it is still capped. Still capped. Because an inordinate amount of arsenic material was found in that well. What are they afraid of? The Bureau of Standards may say it is good. And that's all the people want to hear. I just don't understand, why are they afraid to allow the Bureau of Standards to test a well? The Bureau tested 28 wells and found one to be contaminated. Are you afraid they will find the same thing in Keon? We don't know whether the water is good or whether the water is bad. To hell with the so-called engineer Congress about his tasting water. Test the water is what the people are asking for. We are still following up the progress of the 36 megawatt solar farm at Nevis. And that development has still been frustrated by this incompetent July administration. After 2 years, although the special advisor to the Prime Minister has publicly stated that the project is good. They negotiated an amount upwards from 80 to 85 million US dollars. They've extended the amortization period, the payback period now to 25 years, we are told. But there are confusing signals regarding sustainability and the need to build resilience. They still continue to send confusing signals, beg your pardon, in this era of climate change. And our sixth and final observation, I think it is it? Yes, my sixth and final observation, my Street Talk family, relates to national security. And confusing signals are being sent there as well. From or by the Prime Minister and Minister of National Security. In respect of the current disposition, what is the state what is the position with the National Security Advisor Lionel Wusi Rollins. Dr. July never spoke with the then incumbent National Security Advisor, Major General Saunders. And just before he left, and faced with some double murders, he summoned a meeting and included Major General Saunders and used it for his photo op, I call it. He likes these photo ops. So he invited Major General Saunders. Only time he entertained him. And things have suddenly changed in the Ministry of National Security. We hear, my Straight Dog family, of the Permanent Secretary sent on leave. We heard the comments of National Security Advisor Wusi Rollins, who seemed to have encouraged killing. He seemed to have encouraged the evasion of the bank and the rule of law. Yes, that's the only way this could be interpreted, no matter what others may want to tell us.
If you know that you're involved in the murder of someone, I would encourage you to borrow some money, buy an airline ticket, and leave the island. Because it's going to cause us problems. That's as bluntly as I could say.
Blunt and to the point he wanted to make. But things have suddenly changed, my Straight Dog family. Remember, National Security Advisor Wusi Rollins said that the buck stops with him, and he took full responsibility. Yes, he said that.
National Security Advisor, crime and violence is just one of the many areas of my portfolio. Falling under my portfolio is basically anything that affects the safety and security of the Federation falls under my responsibility. So, health security, energy security, water security, food security, cyber security, human security, immigration, anything that affects us falls under my capacity. But right now we have a situation where our crime and violence is not doing so well. I'm going to take full responsibility for that because it falls onto me, and as the person at the top, leadership says I will take responsibility.
And that's what he said. But Dr. July, his boss and Minister of National Security, obviously has a different view. And immediately on his return from his honeymoon in Dubai, summoned a high-level security meeting on the situation in St. Kitts Nevis, but excluded National Security Advisor Rollins from that meeting. Who would believe that, my Straight Dog family? You better do. Excluded the National Security Advisor from that high-level meeting. And the National Security Advisor confided in someone, I'm told, that his exclusion really does not matter to him. According to National Security Advisor Wusi Rollins, he said, and I quote, I got this, as long as I get my $20,000 salary per month, as per my 2-year contract and house, and as long as I keep my 200,000 2024 SUV Jeep, my Straight Dog family, as long as he has all of that, he said, I will drink my rum, have fun, and enjoy St. Kitts in the sun. So we trust that things will be sorted out with the National Security Advisor and his boss and son-in-law. But those are my observations in review for tonight, my Straight Dog family. And I move right into my thesis, which I have titled, as I said earlier, Revised St. Kitts Nevis CBI Program Enables Criminals by Association. And the Prime Minister used his last roundtable meeting with a handful of selected journalists as his medium to continue peddling his usual propaganda. Listening to Dr. July each time reminds me of the German Dr. Goebbels, who was a Nazi propaganda minister during the 1930s and 1940s. But unlike Goebbels, however, July does not have that kind of skill in public speaking. And in this, the 21st century, he will never be allowed to create a chamber of culture, even though he has usurped, yes, he has taken over control, it seems, of most of the radio stations on St. Kitts and the majority of the press. But with a 98% literacy rate in this St. Kitts and Nevis, and thank God for the advent of the World Wide Web, and with the continuing expansion and use of social media, July will never gain control over our cultural, social, and our political life. Through social media, we can exercise our fundamental rights and freedoms guaranteed by our Constitution, especially our inalienable rights to free expression and to work. And when I decided to write this thesis, I deliberately chose not to consult a learned friend of mine who is a King's Counsel, because I believe that both of our views would be at variance. I felt that way inclined as my learned friend is a lawyer and he was trained in North America. It is for that latter reason I never consulted with my lawyer friend, because I believe he would have no doubt cited cases in which the U.S. courts have ruled that there is no criminal by association. However, in my limited exposure to the law, I vaguely recall reading or hearing something about joint enterprise. And this concept of joint enterprises is centuries old and comes with legal controversy that society can hold you responsible for the actions of someone else. So it is in this very context Straight Talk holds our Prime Minister, Dr. July, and Nevis Premier Snake Brantley for the conduct of this French criminal, Philippe Martinez, who is now the face of the St. Kitts Nevis Citizenship by Investment Program. I will also add the crooked Attorney General Garth Lucifer Wilkin, who, my Straight Talk family, has now publicly shown his colors. Yes, he has now publicly shown his colors. And this is the first Attorney General since independence to be so politically aligned, that I know of at least, and who is trying hard to prove to one and all that he is a labor man. He is a labor man. He's trying hard to prove that. So he has gone on the campaign trail, beg your pardon. You remember he came to the office with a vendetta against the supporters of the PLP and PAM. You remember he threatened to introduce some 70-30 rule. Remember as well, he gave us a lecture. He gave us a lecture, my Straight Talk family, remember very well. He gave us a lecture about crooked people. How many of us remember that lecture given to us by this arrogant Attorney General, my Straight Talk family? I am sure you all would remember this lecture by Garth Lucifer Wilkin.
And I believe that it's important to know that no true leader, no leader that excels in a leadership role can do so without integrity. And what is integrity? It's the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. Honesty, sincerity, strong moral principles. These are the key elements of integrity. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out. Amen.
And amen. So let it be. Because it was not too long before we found out that he was the most crooked attorney general we have had since adult suffrage in 1952. And that is why I have added Garth Lucifer Wilkin, as he is also responsible for the legislative agenda. My own research also led me to the law of imputed negligence, and I have found evidence that July, Snake Brantley, and Garth Lucifer Wilkin have a special relationship, political and otherwise. No doubt, this encouraged this French criminal, Philippe Martinez, to commit a political assault on the third Prime Minister, Timothy Harris, with an aim, no doubt, towards ending his political career. The snake, Mark Brantley, was the first one to provide any hint, if you recall, my Straight Dog family, when he said this.
And I'm sending a clear signal tonight. I was foreign minister of this country for 7 years. I sat in a government for 7 years. I believe that the former leader of St. Kitts and Nevis, the man who headed my government and cabinet, need to sit down and hush him out about CBI. Go sit down and hush him out about citizenship by investment. Talk about other things, but leave that one day alone, because I am telling you now, some information is going to come to light, and it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pleasant. So I am saying respectfully, go sit down, talk about other things, but leave that one day alone, because too many problems were created in that program, because everybody was there, glad-handed and winking and not. Everybody was drinking champagne and getting Louis Vuitton luggage and expensive watch and shoe. Stop what they're doing. That program is important to us. Let us all protect it. Let us all protect it and stop this effort to destroy it, because when you destroy it, what else?
And 2 days after this rant on public radio, this French criminal Philippe Martinez suddenly announced that he was waging a war against the third Prime Minister. But then he became the first benefactor, my Straight Dog family, under the public benefit option of the CBI. So what is the public benefit option, you may ask, my Straight Dog family? And I have an obligation to tell you.
The public benefit option replaces the alternative investment option, or AIO. Under the public benefit option, an approved public benefactor who has submitted an investment proposal to the Board of Governors can become a part of the Citizenship by Investment program by offering public benefit units that would be available as options to individual applicants for citizenship by investment.
And you ask ourselves, public benefit, what are the benefits being derived for St. Kitts Nevis, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis? Are we going to own the films? Was the Ocean Terrace Hotel under PBO? But more than that, my Straight Dog family, how could a criminal become an approved benefactor under our CBI program? MSR Media Limited is the only approved benefactor under the public benefit option of our citizenship by investment program. It's there for you to see on your monitors, my Straight Talk family. But truth be told, Philip Martinez is like a used car that the snake Mark Brantley offered for sale to Dr. July, who was not clever enough, it seems, to take this used car to a mechanic for a thorough inspection before he bought it. But July bought it anyway, my Straight Dog family. He bought this used car. A man, a convicted felon who sat in a French jail, who also sat in a US jail for years. But Drew bought this used car anyway. But my Straight Talk family, if they succeed, then the rape and pillage, yes, the daylight robbery of the Nevis Island Administration Treasury, also the federal government treasury, will become unabated. It will become worse. My Straight Talk family, we need the public courage to stand up and challenge these so-called politicians who are behaving like institutional criminals. Look at what's happening in the offshore financial sector in Nevis as we speak. Look at what's happening there, my Straight Talk family. The Financial Services Regulatory Commission in Nevis, the FSRC, like St. Kitts, is the regulatory body for financial services and for anti-money laundering. It has received numerous complaints from customers, but to no avail. But ask yourselves, who is the Minister of Finance in Nevis? It's the snake Mark Brantley. And who is the Minister of Finance in St. Kitts Nevis? The same July who bought the used car from the snake, Brantley, and the Attorney General Garth Lucifer Wilkins lives in a glass house, so he doesn't dare pelt a stone. An interlocutory appeal for a judicial review made to the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal by Michael Press was dismissed. It was dismissed, my Straight Talk family. The information is public. So why isn't an Interpol warrant sought to bring this fugitive to justice in Nevis, my Straight Talk family? He appealed, he got a judicial review, my Straight Talk family, heard by Justices Thom, Ferrara, and Henry. You can see it clear on your screens, my Straight Talk family. It was about, my Straight Talk family, an offense of having received the sum of 2.53 million or $2,530,000 US for the use and benefit of Mark Kuchar, did fraudulently convert the money to his own use, being a trustee of US $2,530,000 for the use and benefit of Mark Kuchar, did fraudulently convert money for his own use to sections 20 and 19D, respectively, of the Larceny Act, my Straight Dog family. And the court has ruled. The court ruled, my Straight Dog family, you can glean as well from your monitors. And it states, in the final paragraph, you can see clearly, for the reasons stated above, as you can see yourselves, the court this court, it says, has no jurisdiction to determine the appeal. The appeal is dismissed. The decision of the learned judge is affirmed. The appellant shall pay the respondents their costs on the appeal to be assessed by a judge of the lower courts. So having gone through the court process, having entertained the judicial review, we asked the question, why hasn't the Federation contacted Interpol to bring this man back to face the many lawsuits for the fraudulent conversion of millions of US dollars? My Street Dog family. And this is only one case. What we showed you tonight, my Street Dog family, is one case. There are many, many cases, my Street Dog family, many, many lawsuits. Are we going to wait until the Federation is blacklisted and the Federation companies are unable to conduct international business because of the corresponding bank issues? Michael Press is listed as the Chief Executive Officer at the Bank of Nevis International Limited, my Street Dog family. Philippe Martinez, my Street Dog family, is said to be the driving force behind MSR Media International. It is well established in St. Kitts Nevis and beyond, my Street Dog family, that birds of a feather, they flock together. And since the change of administration in St. Kitts and Nevis in August 2022, what we have now, it seems, is a revised St. Kitts Nevis citizenship by investment program that enables criminals by association. And that's my story tonight, my Straight Dog family, and I am not going to change it. But I'll open the lines and entertain your calls and your emails. I always like to implore you that before I do so, let's open the lines, which I'll do momentarily. I anticipate that you will respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned, and let us, in the process of saying and doing those things, hope that they are beneficial to all concerned. And in saying and doing those things as well, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. It's 2 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. We go straight to the lines and say good night to this, our first caller.
Good night.
The Bible man. The Bible man, as usual. Good night, sir. How art thou?
Well, I'm fine, Mr. Patel.
What's on your mind?
I am listening to you, but I am wonderful.
You are, okay. Great to hear.
Here, the passage scripture says, "Oh, give thanks unto the Lord,
For he is good.
for his good,
Mercies endure.
for his mercy endured forever." It said, "Let the redeemer of the Lord say so,
So,
who he had redeemed from the hands of the enemy." Psalms 107. Psalm 41. Say, "Blessed is the man that considereth the poor. In the time of trouble, the Lord shall deliver him." Psalm 91. "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of thy mighty. I will say to the Lord, he is my refuge,
my strength.
my fortress. In God will I trust." Psalm 37.
Fret not thyself.
"Fret not thyself because of evildoers,
Neither.
neither be envious against the work of iniquity, for the soon shall cut down."
Okay.
That is,
Thanks a lot, my dear brother.
it is good to give God thanks and praise.
All the time.
And so God, you know, Patrick, listen here. I'm gonna finish now. But you know what comes to me? I can tell you something. If we I really have to give God an account for everything that we do. Everything will have gone rampant. But I am telling you, Mr. Patrick, you come a day that every man is going to stand up to God and give God an account for themselves.
Yes.
And Patrick, if you ain't who listening to me, if you don't make me Lord of your Lord and personal Savior and give your life over total to God, you're going to end up in the white throne judgment, Mr. Patrick.
Okay.
And the born again believer is going to God and judge them separate. Patrick, I have no else. And I want to take up too much time. So see you, Patrick. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, my brother. Always get our spiritual intervention pretty early from the Bible man. And one thing he said that's true, and we ought to be reminded of it, is that we all may appear, or must appear, I think it says, before the judgment seat of Almighty God. And we may be recompensed for the things that we have done. And we also warn that we cannot take any witnesses with us, my Straight Talk family. But getting back to the program, for those who may have just joined us, those who have just joined us, my Straight Talk family, we ask the question, why did Prime Minister July allowed the snake Brantley to introduce him to this second-hand, this used car, and he just bought it without going to the mechanic and checking the car, only to find out that this second-hand car, this convicted felon, Philippe Martinez, would you believe, my Straight Dog family, he actually is the only benefactor in our CBI, or the public benefit option of the CBI. It's 9:07. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Pleasant good evening, Mr. Liburd.
Good evening, sir. How art thou?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad for my age.
Carl Brown.
Yes, and good evening to the listeners home and abroad. Carl Brown here. Mr. Liburd, I know you have done and introduced your synopsis for tonight, but I want to draw the public attention to something that happened last week. And it was what Dr. Drew and what Skelec and what Nemo called was a jail. And I want to categorically state that wasn't no jail, Mr. Liburd. People of the world, let me say it like this, people of the world, let me put it clear to y'all, and y'all could go, like y'all say, you go online and you go on all kind of thing and look up all kind of thing. Right? Mr. Liburd, you name me one country of the entire world. You hear what I'm going to repeat it again. One country of the entire world that do a jail and shut down the major hospital or lock off the electricity to the major hospital. Mr. Liburd, not, zero, none. No country does that. And I listened to Dr. Jew on his round table, and he is telling the world that there was no problem at JNF. Mr. Liburd, as a senior, used to be senior civil servant that worked 27 years and 3 months at JNF, and Dr. Juno Tuka, he worked there with me, right? That generator at the hospital, and you can ask present and past workers, that generator at the hospital, Dr. Joe worked with it, worked under it, and along with it, that generator was always iffy. When current goes off, we just be scared and shocked and frightened of that generator. Because Mr. Liburd, sometimes he come on and sometimes he don't. And many times that current goes off in the village and that generator did not come on, and we had to call SKN to come and turn it on manually. Dr. Drew knows that. And Mr. Liburd and the world, that wasn't no jail. Dr. Joe is lying. He's totally blatant liar. That was no jail. Nobody does no jail. And in that jail, shut off or shut down the main hospital. Right? And also shut down the generator. And then the generator did not come on. What I will advise Dr. Joe and his other advisors is to go and properly, right, assess and maintain and correctly assess and put that generator in place, that when current goes off in the village, that generator will come on in about 5 to 15 to 20 seconds shortly after the current would go off. Dr. June know that generator there is a if. It does not come on all the time, Mr. Liburd. Many times, current goes off while I was there working 27 years and 3 months, that we had to use our phone light and we had to use short light and call SKN. And SKN would come up and turn it on manually. The maintenance person that knows how the generator works, Mr. Liburd, lived 14 and 16 miles in the country.
So you're saying the generator always malfunction? That's what you're saying?
Mr. Liburd, that generator, listen to the word again, that generator, Dr. Juno too, is a iffy.
Okay.
Right. When current goes off, right, we're scared and we're wondering if it's going to come on.
Okay.
The system of that generator, Mr. Liburd, it is not assessed or set properly that it would come on always when current go off. Okay. It does not come on always when current go off.
Okay, I got you loud and clear. My straight talk family.
So, Mr. Liburd, before I go, what happened last week was no jail. Was a total breakdown. Okay. And nobody do a jail nowhere in the world and shut off the main hospital, say, the training staff and getting staff ready in case of anything happen. That's a total lie.
Okay, got you loud and clear, my brother. Thank you very much for your contribution. Yes, we allowed that little digression, but that's what Straight Talk is all about. You know, we entertain all views. And for those who may not have understood what was just being advanced, last week the electricity at the hospital went out for about 45 minutes, only to be then advised by the via a Skelec release that it was a drill, but that's nobody believed it, and one would wonder, well, if you have a hospital, a hospital of all places, and even if the electricity goes out, then you would expect the generator would kick in automatically. So why would you have a drill and you have a generator down, electricity out? Baffles everybody. But if you have just joined me, my Straight Talk family, the thesis we have advanced tonight, I have titled Revise St. Kitts Nevis CBI Enables Criminals by Association. And for those again who have just joined me, let's go to the lines and take this call. Caller, you live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller? Are you there, caller?
Yeah, I'm here, Patrice.
So.
Yeah, good night.
Good night, my brother.
Thank God for you, and good evening to the world who are listening to this program. Wonderful program. Now, Patrice, brother, I want to know, when some law gonna put into enforcement to lock up the snake from Nevis and Martinez and the King Lawyer July for allowing the snake to get money from the treasury, which he's not working for. How long? When a law going to be enforced? Because if you practice when you're working there and you refuse to go to work, let's say for 2, 3 months, 4 months, practice they won't pay you. Because the law is that you have to get value for your money. And if you put in no working value, you have no way to pick up no money. And the snake looking company with Martinez, because why he looking company with Martinez, he want July to say, well, then the snake is helping to work with his government. Even though the snake in the middle of the bed, laying down with July and the others, the other cabal them. That is why he hug up Martinez and bring him here. You mean to say all those big international countries up there refuse Martinez and here to run coming here, little Barbados, who just the most easterly country in the Caribbean to us. They tell him no boy, we want you here, But then the solid waste snake open his hand and say, come man, come. Feel like he can do something good to this country. He and all robbing the treasury. And then that man who they call Gad Wilkin, he can sit down there and allow all his foolishness to go on, robbing taxpayers' money, and then they refuse to pay tax. Taxpayers, what they want. The little Mickey Mouse minimum thing, what they say about they give for minimum wage. And look at them. All of them, they who in that cabinet, that government cabinet, they change the design of the clothes. Those who wear in pants, the pants make about out of all pocket, long pocket. And them who wear in frock and skirt, the frock and skirt make about the same thing, pure pocket. You cannot see no smooth part of the cloth to iron without you take a pocket. And every time that man, the Jew, he hear the phone ring, tilling. We having a conference here in Grenada, St. Lucia, and we're going to talk about crime. We're going to do something about crime with the government coming here. And we're inviting you. He can't say no. We can't come. Nowadays, you don't have to go literally. You don't have to go virtually. You could use the phone and do what you got to do.
Physically. Before
we got the load of smartphone, remember Dr. Douglas, when he went to Dubai, and he voiced the Prime Minister the
Blackberry.
yeah. Sorry. yeah. What do you want under the Prime Minister name?
Deputy.
Yeah, right. The deputy.
Yeah.
The human deputy. He only know that Dr. Douglas was going to Dubai. The afternoon when the permanent secretary tell him he going to Dubai tomorrow. So therefore, Dr. Douglas went with the permanent secretary, and Dr. Douglas, deputy prime minister, was the Blackberry, and he leave the Kunumunu here, and then you can tell me the Kunumunu got mouth to say he throwing word pan Timothy, and he after he done say a lot of bad things about Dr. Douglas. He tried to embarrass Dr. Douglas and all kind of things, say that Dr. Douglas will do anything to get in power. In the dead of night, he went over to Nevis in a fishing boat. Almost drowned. One of the waters so deep. And then now he come back. He turned Judas up in New York. When the government sent him up there to be ambassador, turned Judas and he think nobody down here now. When he come back down, and when go sit down by Douglas, we together again. And them there have to be a shame. All of them they saw condoning wrong. They see July and the whole cabinet them. All what they're doing, they're robbing the treasury. Every one of them, this big salary what they get with this big raise and then a work for it yet. And all of them going away. Every one of them going away, Patrice. Let me go now and tell you this. Patrice, every news on the radio station them, some of them, they calling July name. He think they're going to get him popular and famous. He don't lose his popularity with the vote of them. Because everybody balling murder. They want him go. They need back Timothy Harris to run the country. Because only he could run the country decently. Timothy ain't no scamp. He know how to run the country. And he know how people feel when they don't have no money. And he provide money for people who need it to buy food. Patrick, I'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your...
Oh, before I go, sorry, let me tell you this. I was in the hospital, Joseph and France Hospital, 2008. And one night, the current went on, the village current went off. And the generator never did cut in. Never. And that same night, I could call him because it happened. My good friend Carlton Jupan was on a talk show. And I call him and I tell him, boy, the current gone up the hospital here and up to now, none come on. For minutes, hour, and gone, none come on. And he announced it on the radio. So Carl is right. I'll be back.
Thank you very much for your intervention. And it's interesting, you reminded us about some years ago. And this is exactly what the then Prime Minister said when he went to Libya.
When I was in Libya, and before I left for Libya, I called the Attorney General, Dennis Merchant. I said, boss, I have to go to Libya. Me and Asim going. Boss, I'm the bigger boss. So I said, boss, I am going to Libya. I have to go.
Yes.
I will not appoint anybody else.
No.
Because the deputy was with me, Asim was. When I was there in Libya, we went down to Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. And then we come back to Libya. Tripoli in Libya.
But my Straight Talk family, getting back to the issue we are dealing with tonight. And remember, it was Mark Brantley who sneaked the convicted criminal after he was declared persona non grata. He was not welcome in Barbados. And he told us this, my Straight Talk family.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, we recognized that Nevis was on its knees. Our main earner, tourism, was shuttered, borders were closed, hotels were closed, and the result was that we needed something to ease the pressure that we were experiencing. People were out of work. And so we partnered with an entity called MSR Media to come to Nevis and to make movies here. And the plan was a very simple plan. They brought all of the equipment and personnel. Because of our good management of COVID on the island, they opted to stay here, shelter in place, so to speak. Over the period of some 2.5 years or so, they were able to film some 9 movies here. And so we saw this as an opportunity to create something new from scratch. MSR came, and we think that they did what they said they would do on the island of Nevis in terms of making movies. That's why we partnered with them. That's what we asked them to do, and they have done so.
And what was the partnership entailed? Yes, almost $400,000 rather per month, $500,000.
What was our deal with MSR? We said to MSR after some negotiations that we will pay up to $150,000 US, and that was our partnership with them.
Yes, $150,000 US. Criminals by association. That's what we are saying. Patches, that clip with the human water testers, the minister and the water engineer, is hilarious. Read this email. I just can't stop laughing. Why was the water engineer staggering after he had tasted the water? Was he saying to himself, what the hell is this? That clip is funny. Play it again before you end the show. Request this email. And it's really funny because the water engineer, in fact, staggered. My Straight Talk family. Look at this.
I'm going to take a little taste here. Fresh clear water.
Yes, the water engineer staggered. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, I thank you for holding your live. Hello, caller.
Yes, Mr. Liburd.
So.
Yes, Carl Brown here again. And good evening to the listeners home and abroad. Another thing, Mr. Liburd, you remember when Dr. Joe was in opposition, every time he talked about the nurses and the maids at JNF.
But where you going to JNF? I allowed you.
Yes.
But I don't want us to digress too much tonight. I'm talking about the CBI. You heard the thesis tonight? I'm gonna
No. I was not near the thing. Let me go to the CBI. Let me go to the CBI.
Make a point briefly, but I want you to address that too.
Yeah. What I want to suggest to Dr. Joe and his advisors and his ministers, when he was in opposition, every time he talked about the maids and that JNF, how the money is so small and all kind of things, and how they getting knocked out and so. Well, he promoted some nurses last year, August, September, and the ministers them take the 33% raise, giving them $4,000 and $6,000 more on the money. And the nurses are still waiting for the upgrade. They were junior nurses, and he promoted them to senior nurses, and it's going on a year now, and they haven't gotten their money. They're still waiting and requesting and asking for the money for the promotion that they have gotten.
Okay, CBI now. What you said about the CBI?
Right, CBI. I listened to Dr. Joe at the round table, and he was asked several questions concerning the CBI. And up to now, Dr. Joe has not said how many passports had he signed off on, how many passports have St. Kitts Nevis have out there, and what is the top 5 countries that is after our passport. Oh, and another thing, Mr. Liburd, three Chinese supermarket open in Keon and 1 Chinese restaurant open right next to Big Life. And we heard and we know of the big Chinese warehouse and supermarket that open down in Limekeel. Mr. Liburd, how many of more of these things they are going to let open and close down all the mom and pop shops them and make the mom and pop shops people who in business for 30 and 40 something years have to go work for somebody after all this time? Why they don't set up some loans in banks and sit down and call the small business and small entrepreneur people and enhance them with some money to enhance their small business so that they can hire people and decrease the unemployment line? Instead of having everybody calling the ministers them want a government job every day, every night. Why that is not happening? Instead of that, they're giving the Chinese and the Indians them permission to open all kind of stores and shops. I mean, look at the stupidness they're opening.
Okay.
Ice machines and all those sort of things, right? Little stores selling perfume, selling bread, selling fingernails and toenails and them kind. I mean, come on. Why these Indians and Chinese cannot bring a factory here where hire 5,000-10,000 people?
Okay, thanks you.
They're opening these little supermarkets, these little restaurants. We have all those things here already.
Okay. Got you loud and clear, my dear brother.
Not only that, a Chinese supermarket opening College Street. How many more is there? Every alley, every street, every avenue that they're going to let Chinese and Indians open stores here?
Okay, got you.
Come on, man.
Okay, got you loud and clear. Thank you very much for your intervention. But the truth is that China and Russia were the biggest markets. I think China still is the big market for the CBI. And I note the slant you took, saying that how many more will come, but they are in fact citizens. And if once you see they can buy property all over the place and open businesses, it speaks volumes, because if you are not a citizen, then you need an alien landholding license. But these Chinese in particular have come through the CBI program. These Russians, there's a Russian, we understand, constructing a facility down there next to the Independence Square. So this is all that's happening through the CBI program. And it's really painful when July, and he lies. I hate to say this about our Prime Minister, but he's a compulsive liar. And he hides these figures in relation to the CBI. But someday they're going to come out. They have to. But they may just be too late. Shameful, I think. Those men are making themselves look foolish. Testing water by tasting. Reads this email. I wonder how often they went to the toilet when they went home, and how many rolls of toilet paper they used after tasting that water, which was not professionally tested. Reads this email. There are some opposition members, beg your pardon, and I'm speaking specifically to those 4 Nevis official nominated members in parliament. They are of the opinion that whenever the Prime Minister lashes out at Team Unity and reference the last administration in failing to do this and that, they are so dumb, stupid, thinking is Harris. He is referring to and not them. 3 of these ministers, excluding the female nominee, had portfolios. One was Minister of Foreign Affairs, etc., etc. Another was Agriculture Minister, and the other was the Environmental Minister. The Prime Minister will curse hell out of these ministries, claiming that this was not done. In Foreign Affairs, and he had to get Dr. Douglas to fix it. In Agriculture, nothing was done until he made Samal Minister of Agriculture. Likewise, in Environment, only since Joya Clark became the minister, things are being done. The thing that hurts me most is to see these 3 puppy shows sitting down on the opposition bench and not even getting up on a point of order and stop the Prime Minister in his tracks and set their record straight, debunking what the Prime Minister is saying as a complete lie. No, these idiots prefer to accept the harsh, blaming words from the Prime Minister because his heresy means. What a set of jokers. Team Unity was never a one-man administration, reads this email. Good evening, great one. This is the kind of doo-doo we cannot make up. The advisor is no Colonel Saunders. Patches, how I saw Woosie show up at Bridges' funeral made me sick to the core. Canvas slippers, no socks, a kind of white pants, white shirt, no tie, and his blue jacket. Oh yes, and his Mr. T haircut. Patches, this was a funeral befitting a king, and he shows up like that. I had a laugh in church Sunday watching him get away from you after the service. I giggled all the way home. Stay the course, warrior, and be safe. The end is near. God bless. Reads this other email. Hi Patches, I heard that there was a hit and run accident on the Upper Newton Bay Road, and I heard that it is someone on a motorcycle was involved in the accident, and unfortunately the victim died. I am sending deepest sympathy out to the victim. I have heard, which is not official, that the person riding the motorcycle has left the island. If this is true, then I'm wondering if he took the advice of Woosie, and borrowed some money and gone off the island. I am lost to know that he could have gotten off the island so soon. Have you heard any such thing? Reads this email. Good night, Patches. The country is running on autopilot, according to Dr. Drew, former advisor, Big Lies. Everyone is doing as they like. Patches, where are the investors that were waiting until Team Unity got out of power to come? Patches, what capital projects are going on right now? Patches, where are the 600 smart homes? Patches, where is the smart hospital? Patches, where is the start team of government experts? How many trips each of them made for the year? How much have they cost the taxpayers? It is such a pity that Team Unity imploded because we have a bunch of smart, greedy fools running the country further and further into the ground. Patches, I can guarantee the people of St. Kitts and Nevis that we will be going to the IMF between now and next year. There is no money coming in from the CBI. That program gone to the dogs. People of St. Kitts, Dr. Joe and his government can only secure monies for themselves and their close friends. See how they took the Bamako 36% salary increase? But most of the people in the country are struggling. Yes, my Straight Talk family. It's 9:38. You may have just joined me. Excuse me. You may have just joined me, my Straight Talk family. And the thesis we are looking at tonight, revised CBI enables criminals by association. And I made the point, let's dispense of the emails first. Everybody was so taken up and concerned with the utterances of the crime advisor that it overshadowed a grave false statement by the commissioner. The commissioner stated that out of the 11 murders committed this year, so far they have solved 3. That statement is erroneous, Mr. Commissioner. Cases are only solved when the police procure a conviction in court against the accused. Be reminded that former Commissioner C.G. Walwyn had that strategy where he went around locking up all suspects and remanded them in prison for an inordinate amount of time. Then when the cases were brought to court, some were nully prosecuted, others were withdrawn, and the remainder dismissed. Subsequently, many of these innocent persons filed lawsuits against the Team Unity administration for unlawful arrest and detention and were awarded substantial sums of money. Therefore, avoid treading down that trajectory, Mr. Commissioner, reads this email. I'm wondering if this was not strange. High Patch is the outspoken person. I saw something which was strange to me, and I thought that this was something strange to me and rather insulting. But I would like you to let me know if this is the order of the day. I looked at the late Mr. Bridgewater's funeral, and when they arrived at the cemetery and the time came to lay the wreath, I heard someone announcing how the wreath should be laid, and to my surprise, they said the first to lay the wreath is the Governor General, and then the Prime Minister, and then the Commissioner of Police, and then the wife, Mrs. Bridgewater. I thought the first person to lay the wreath was the wife of the deceased. Mrs. Bridgewater followed the drill of laying the wreaths, but when her turn came to lay her wreath, she went and moved down the wreaths that were later laid before her, but her wreath right to the head of the grave, and I thought the wife would have been the first, and that is the way I know that they would have laid the wreaths. It was a total insult to the wife. It seems as though the Labour government members have a tendency to arrive at events, functions late, as one of them walked into the funeral service late when it was well going on. I heard that OTA is open again, but it seems as though nothing is really going on there. They said that the laundry is in operations, so they must be taking laundry from the citizens. Have you heard they have turned back on the electricity at OTI? Reads this email. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, hello, caller.
Yes, Mr. Liburd. Carl here again. Question. When somebody official is going to come and tell us about the CBI, Dr. Joe claimed the other day when he was on the round table, CBI is going good. Right? Where is the proof of that to we, the citizens? Why are we asking all these questions if it's going so good? How much money have we made for the first quarter of this year from the CBI? That's a question, Mr. Liburd. How many applications did we get in the first quarter of this year? And how many of them were passed and say they are successful clients to obtain our CBI passport? That's some questions we are asking. How many did Dr. Ju sign off on? And how many did he refuse? Questions. Good night, Mr. Liburd.
Good night, my dear brother. Good night, Mr. Liburd reads this email. I'm a fan of your show, but sometimes you come across as being dismissive to some of the callers. You have to remember we can see you and hear you, and sometimes you Your tone and body language are dismissive to some of the callers. I don't like how you handle the gentleman just now who spoke about the Chinese opening supermarkets all over St. Kitts. Well, that's what Straight Talk is all about. Everybody has their view. But the question is whether we agree or disagree, to be honest with you. The Chinese are citizens. If they are citizens, then they have a constitutional right. They all have passports like you and I, sadly and or otherwise. It's now 16 before the 10 o'clock hour, my Straight Talk family. You may have joined me late, and we advance our thesis for tonight, which I have titled Revised SKN CBI Program Enables Criminals by Association. Here's what, let me go back to the lines before I get to that. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Liburd, man. How you doing, man?
I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself?
Pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, man. So much to talk about St. Kitts and Nevis, man. The CBI program. First of all, man, let me acknowledge Carl and the guy Culture. And that being said, the testimonies that they brought in about the situation with the hospital, you can't beat the testimony, man. But anyway, man, big up to those two guys for bringing in their testimonies tonight. So the CBI program, Mr. Liburd, started in 1984. And I've been listening to these programs, different programs for a little while now. And my observation, man, the amount of money that these guys raked in that CBI program from 1984 to now is you can't even see them zeros behind them numbers, man. The amount of zeros behind them numbers, you can't see the end patches. So to me, St. Kitts and Nevis should be in tip-top shape for the small size that we are. They should have most industries up and running, tip-top shape, man. We shouldn't be fighting right now to have a school called Basta High School. We shouldn't be fighting right now to be talking about we still got issues at the hospital. And in education, we should have trade schools already established in those two islands called St. Kitts and Nevis. We should have, they're talking about a smart hospital. We should have been down, had something like that leading the way in the Caribbean. The politicians now are scrunting to prove that, that they're scrambling, man. When they done had the money already and they squandered it off over the years, man. But I want to bring something real close to you tonight, Patches, and you might have to do some homework on this one, because I've seen two clips over the weekend. One is saying that Chinese is controlling a section of Antigua, right? And I believe personally, man, St. Kitts and Nevis is next, bro. And we got to be careful and be watching the wide gap between the poor and the haves and the haves not. You know what I mean? And there is another clip in the name of corruption, it seems, alleged. I know you opened up the program tonight talking about Port Zante, but it's alleged that a clip that I saw is alleged that there's a scandal happening right in SKN right now involving Port Zante. And somebody underneath the Prime Minister's ministry was sent home, and I ain't hear no media house talking about it. And this is some homework you might have to do and bring this information to the public, man. And we got to be careful with the fact that these guys are looking to shut down freedom of speech in St. Kitts and Nevis. There are already some complaints about a particular host and the ZIZ 11 a.m. show every week that persons are being shut down. You yourself was, it was a case against you, and now they have a case against Big Lice Watley. All these cases and all these crying out is in the name of persons that are being shut down, their freedom of speech, their basic human right, which is guaranteed by the Constitution. And we got to be careful with this government here, man. But I'm still looking for the transparency with the CBI program. And I want you to take, the premier stated one time, I heard him said that they did an investigation and, to their findings, about 588 million was raked into Bastille last year. But Mr. Liburd, before I get off real quick, if I take off that 88 million and I say 500 million was raked in every year since they started that CBI program, right? You take 40 years and multiply it by 500 million. I don't think you're going to see the equal amount. I don't think you're going to see it on a calculator. But somebody can correct me, man. If I estimate an average that the CBI raked in 500 million per year for 40 years, bro, that's like $20 billion. And we the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, we need to see where that $20 billion went, bro.
But
that's my contribution.
Could I ask you a question though? But do you think it's a fair to say that we made all that money?
Assessment?
48, yeah, because we only started to make that money when the SIDF was introduced, I think, in 2006. So before that, the program wasn't really making any money.
Pulling in that much.
Yeah. So I think it'll be fair to go from 2006. Not even 2006, perhaps from 2010, 11.
But I stand corrected. But I'm still putting out my personal assessment. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
But this is why the transparency is very important.
That's correct. Yeah.
You know what I mean? The transparency is very important, man. And if there ever was to bring that transparency, then we the citizens will see the amount of money that are raked in firsthand. And that they're denying the people, man. But I wish you all the best still going forward, man. But the Chinese is already taking over St. Kitts and Nevis. You hear what they're talking about? You just wait until when they shut down Rams, Hosford, and the TDCs. Then, those persons who are working in those entities, they will all lose their jobs because definitely the Chinese ain't going to be hiring them. So that's my contribution for tonight, man. And you guys on the ground got to keep abreast of what's going on in your own country because sooner or later, bro, the place is too small. Sooner or later, we're going to be overrun by foreigners, man. And that's my contribution for tonight, man. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for your sound contribution, my dear brother. And yes, we need the courage. We need the public courage to stand up and challenge these so-called politicians who are behaving like, as I put it, institutional criminals. And as I was going to say earlier, for those who may have joined me late tonight, we actually titled our thesis for tonight, as I was just about to introduce it, Revise St. Kitts Nevis CBI Enables Criminals by Association. And I came to that title having looked at the Prime Minister's last roundtable meeting with a handful of selected journalists, which he used as his medium to continue peddling his usual propaganda. And listening to Dr. Drew, he really reminds me of Dr. Goebbels, who was the Nazi propaganda minister during the 1930s and 40s. But unlike Goebbels, Drew does not have that kind of skill in public speaking. And in this, the 21st century, he will never be allowed to create a chamber of culture, as I said, even though he has taken over control, it seems, of most of the radio stations on St. Kitts. And he controls the majority of the press. thank God through social media, just like tonight, we can exercise our fundamental rights and freedoms guaranteed by our Constitution. And we can think of our rights to free expression and to work. But when I decided to write this thesis, I chose not to consult my friend, my learned friend, who is a King's Counsel, because I know we would be at variance. I felt that way inclined, as my learned friend is a lawyer, and he was trained in North America. Perhaps I'll take this and make this my penultimate call for tonight. I'll take one more call after this one caller. I'm going to guide you, though, by the rules of brevity as I'm winding down. Yes, I'm winding down. I'm winding down.
I know you're winding down. Yep. Remember you start, because you start early. Now anyway, that is, you will never give the answer about how many passports he signed on to think he take office. It's going to go down past 26 months. Remember, we had a motion on a confidence against Douglas administration and the amount of problems we had. And up to now, he ain't answered it. And that is what you decide to do. He ain't going to answer nothing. And I want to say this here. The snake forget when the check was bounced for the whole of Nevis Island, because Labour was against the CCM and Nevis people, and now look where the snake be. Right in office with them. Right in office with them, that's a hypocrite. And let me touch this here too. The money what they wasting, going to talk about the go build center for the art. What happened to the school? What happened to the road were breaking around the fort when you pass the OTI? All them they want fixing. What happened to Mr. Butcher house? Where they start to break down? What happened to the new hospital where they break that for? And a lot of things I could go on tonight here. People, it is time for people to do what we did before 2015. With this cabal here, all they got in there to do is scrape, take all the money they could get. Because they know they're tumbling down worse than London Bridge. So by the time they fall and they go flat out, the pocket don't full up with money and they walk for it. Okay. Anyway, thank you, Patrick. Have a good night.
Thank you as well. Have yourself a wonderful night. And in winding down tonight's programming, I referred earlier to my limited exposure to the law, and I vaguely recall or hearing something about joint enterprise. And this concept of joint enterprises or joint enterprise is centuries old and comes with legal controversy that society can hold you responsible for the actions of someone else. So in this context, Straight Talk holds our Prime Minister, Dr. July, and Nevis Premier Snake Brantley for the conduct of this French criminal Philippe Martinez, who is now the face of the St. Kitts Nevis CBI program. I also added the crooked Attorney General, Garth Lucifer Wilkin, who has publicly shown his colors, believe it or not, my Straight Dog family. And Garth Lucifer Wilkin has now gone on the campaign trail, believe it or not. He's gone on the campaign trail with the Labour Party. Believe it or not, my Straight Dog family. Is he trying to prove that he's a Labour man? Do you believe that's what he's trying to prove? It's the first Attorney General that I know of who has become so politically aligned, my Straight Dog family, and gone on the campaign trail is Lucifer. And remember when he came to office, he came with this vendetta against the supporters of the PLP and PAM and threatened to introduce some 70-30 rule. He also gave us this lecture about crooked people. Remember this?
And I believe that it's important to know that no true leader, no leader that excels in a leadership role can do so without integrity. And what is integrity? It's the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. Honesty, sincerity, strong moral principles. These are the key elements of integrity. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out. Amen.
Amen. So let it be. As it was not too long before we found out that Garth Lucifer Wilkin was the most crooked Attorney General we have had since adult suffrage. And that is why I added him, because he's also responsible for our legislative agenda. And my own research led me to the law of imputed negligence, and I have found evidence that July, Snake Brantley, and Lucifer Wilkin have a special relationship, political and otherwise. No doubt, this encouraged this French criminal Martinez to commit a political assault on our third Prime Minister, Timothy Harris. It's all orchestrated to bring an end to his political career. The Snake was the first one to signal the plan. My Straight Talk family. Remember, the Snake said this. The Snake said this, my Straight Talk family.
And I'm sending a clear signal tonight. I was foreign minister of this country for 7 years. I sat in a government for 7 years. I believe that the former leader of St. Kitts and Nevis, the man who headed my government and cabinet, need to sit down and hush him out about CBI. Go sit down and hush him out about citizenship by investment. Talk about other things, but leave that one day alone, because I am telling you now, some information is going to come to light, and it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pleasant. So I am saying respectfully, go sit down, talk about other things, but leave that one day alone, because too many problems were created in that program, because everybody was there, glad-handed and winking and not. Everybody was drinking champagne and getting Louis Vuitton luggage and expensive watch and shoe. Stop what they're doing. That program is important to us. Let us all protect it. Let us all protect it and stop this effort to destroy it, because when you destroy it, what else?
And my Straight Talk family, 2 days after he telegraphed that position, the French criminal suddenly announced that he was waging a war against the third Prime Minister. Then he became the first benefactor, and still is the only benefactor under the public benefit option of the CBI. And you may ask, what is the public benefit option? As you see, he is, my Straight Talk family. And the public benefit option was outlined for us by the CEO of the unit, Michael Martin, who said this, my Straight Talk family.
The public benefit option replaces the alternative investment option, or AIO. Under the public benefit option, an approved public benefactor who has submitted an investment proposal to the Board of Governors can become a part of the Citizenship by Investment program by offering public benefit units that would be available as options to individual applicants for citizenship by investment.
And the first and only one to date is MSR Media Limited. And how could a criminal become an approved benefactor under our CBI program? That's the question we're asking. And truth be told, Philippe Martinez is like a used car that the snake Brantley offered for sale to Dr. July, who was not clever enough to take this used car to a mechanic for a thorough inspection before he bought this car. But he has bought it anyway. And we are scared. And I'm saying to you, my Street Dog family, we need the public courage to stand up and challenge these issues. I made mention as well about the offshore financial sector in Nevis as we speak. And the Financial Services Regulatory Commission in Nevis, the FSRC, like St. Kitts, is the regulatory body for financial services and for anti-money laundering. And they have received numerous complaints from customers, but to no avail. But who is the Minister of Finance in Nevis? The snake, Mark Brantley. And who is the Minister of Finance in St. Kitts Nevis? The same July who bought the used car from the snake, Brantley, and the Attorney General, Garth Lucifer Wilkin, lives in a glass house, so he doesn't dare pelt a stone. A judicial review was entertained by the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal that Michael Press submitted to the court. And the court dismissed that appeal, as can be gleaned from the decision of the court. And we ask the question, my Street Dog family, why isn't an Interpol warrant sought to bring this fugitive to justice in Nevis? Why hasn't the Federation contacted Interpol to bring this man back to face the many lawsuits for fraudulent conversion of millions of US dollars? And this is only one case I referred to tonight against Michael Press. Are we going to wait until the Federation is blacklisted, my Straight Dog family, and the Federation companies are unable to conduct international business because of the corresponding banking issue? Michael Press is listed as the Chief Executive Officer at the Bank of Nevis International Limited. Philippe Martinez is said to be the driving force behind the MSR Media International, my Street Dog family. It is well established in St. Kitts Nevis and beyond that birds of a feather flock together. And since the change of administration in St. Kitts Nevis in August 2022, what we have now, it seems, my Straight Dog family, is a revised St. Kitts Nevis CBI program that enables criminals by association. And that's my story tonight, and I'm not going to change it. I want to thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight. As always, I want to thank you, the many listeners, those who sent emails and those who called. I want you to be aware that you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. My Straight Talk family, until we connect for another edition of Straight Talk, just to remind you that we come your way every Monday and Thursday from 8 to 10 in the PM. And We include your calls, we include your emails. And I want to thank you for your participation. The callers, the emailers, the thousands of listeners, thank you very much. You are the ones who make Straight Talk, and I say a big, big thank you. I am Ian Patches Liburd, and God's spare. We will connect on Thursday for another edition of Straight Talk. Until that time, be good to yourselves and to all whom you meet. And remember that whatever your mind conceives, that you will achieve. But first of all, you've got to believe. So when you wake up in the morning, thank God for the morning light and thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye until we connect on Thursday for another edition of Straight Talk. Keep moving on, my Straight Talk family.
In the morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of food and loving care, and for my mother's breath of life that's got me here. So whatever my mind conceives that I will achieve, you better believe, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could.